they came forward, they want to do road improvements, and,
But they said if.
and that was pushed down the road many a times before it even got to us. But, I mean, I think 2 hearings is, in my own opinion, 2 is fine.
And I would say part of that too is maybe we define what information needs to be had ahead of time and talk through that, because if you all have the information, maybe you don't need to go through it twice. But yeah, if you don't have all the information, you definitely need to have it. So maybe we can build some time in on the front end if you all don't want to have multiple hearings, but if you do want to have multiple hearings,
We always have the option too to delay it another month. I mean, if we don't feel that we're given the appropriate information. So one of us can make a motion, second, and if we approve it, to delay it the following month till we get the information. But I think if we handcuff ourselves to 3, it's gonna be 3 no matter what. We can't say, well, now we like this, or we're gonna make it 2.
yeah. All right, well, then we'll put together what our options are, what other municipalities do.
Yeah, I say we use the agenda briefing as a second hearing, as a consent agenda, put it in consent agenda 1, and make it a second hearing. So it's not necessarily that they didn't have a need, they just
Gotcha.
put them together and moved it on. But that would give us an option if we needed it.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Thank you for that. Travis, I'm told,
It's fixed.
okay.
Sorry, everyone's texting me. It's fixed.
All right, great, thank you. I want to make sure that I think Mr. Jaredzinski's traveling and he can hear. Just in time. Anything you'd like to discuss, Ms. Harris?
Well, other than the fact this is my birthday month, so the queen was here.
Happy birthday. Mama.
Time too, right? And Nick. And Nick, that's right. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our staff for the great job they do, all of the events that we've had. Recently, well, anytime, but particularly the parade. It was well put together, well organized. I know we had lots of help, but I know you all do a lot of work to make that happen, and the fireworks as well. Thank you for the setup, for having us up top, and the tent, and I love the way it was set up this year. So thank you all for all the hard work. And thank you, Chief, for the staff, all the staff as well. That's all I have.
Great. Just, I don't think there's a problem of restating, again, thought both parade and fireworks were great. I saw a lot of staff out there. I don't know how many folks you all had to have on staff. Again, quite a few folks, and yeah, I know that takes up their own personal time as well. And so, again, we appreciate the time that everyone puts into that. Again, I heard a lot of great feedback from folks on the fireworks as well. So, again, kudos to the staff and volunteers, everybody who kind of took in and participated. Next year, I'll try to control the weather. See if we can get the temperature to come down a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, several people asked if we could change the temperature. I didn't quite put that in the plan, so, again, thanks for all your work. I also want to say I appreciate, the council and the staff in my absence last month. Things went off well, and again, appreciate, what you all do to, provide service to our town and things moving, in an orderly fashion. So again, thank you for that. So with that, we will move to staff comments. Mr. Longino.
Thank you, sir. The only one I've got is that the iPads have been delivered. We're working on getting them set up for those digital packets that we discussed. So hopefully next month we'll be seeing those. Do we have any updates?
I'm gonna just discuss the Employee of the Quarter program that we started a few months back. It's Employee of the Quarter and Employee of the Year. So it's for staff who are performing exceptionally. So staff can be nominated by their peers, supervisors, or the department head. And then those who are chosen for Employee of the Quarter, we'll choose from them for Employee of the Year. And then everybody who's chosen each quarter, there's a wall of honor out here where you'll see them, and they'll show their picture and what quarter they were nominated for or selected for. Yes, sir.
So yeah, any other updates?
No, I don't think so. The brand new 2 through 5 preschool playset that we talked about at the planning retreat will be installed starting tomorrow. They said they'll be finished by the end of the week, so we have that to look forward to.
And nothing on my end.
Awesome. Was you good?
Oh, man, I'm going to talk. And thanks for all the reports in the packet, very detailed, really good information in there. And, you know, as council, if there's any particular questions as you look through the packet, follow up with Justin and the team on any questions there. But again, a lot of good information. So again, very appreciative. I don't know how long it takes Eugenia to put together all that, but again, appreciate it. Gives a lot of visibility to our budget, and I appreciate the connection with all the work that you know, from the planning retreats and keeping that connection. So again, appreciate that.
Gina works really hard on the pie charts.
On the pie charts,
Yes, pie charts.
someone who's a name not here requested. Thank you for that. I did notice that. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, great. We'll move on to item 5C, strategic plan update. Mr. Longino.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, these next few items are still kind of some updates, but I wanted to go into a little more detail, so we put them as separate items. So you all adopted the set of strategic priorities back in April, and we said we would review them quarterly, so this is our first quarterly review. I've got the actual priority document in there, and then ahead of that is a short memo. Really wanted to just remind everybody about the three priorities, which are safety and mobility, communication and organizational strength, and then partnerships and community identity. I've listed in the rest of that memo, won't go through all of them, but just some of the things that we've either accomplished and checked off the list, or that we've made some significant progress on. So we continue to be mindful of those priorities in that document and work through those to hopefully accomplish a good bit of them by the time the next retreat rolls around, and continue to work on some, and then put some new ones in there. So yeah, really just wanted to provide that for your review, and see if you had any questions about any of those items so far.
Any questions? Quick question. On the vision statement, we talked about walkability between Main and West. The reason we didn't include up at Cal.
It's a good question. I think that was primarily just focused on the area from Main Street over to West, and that just like core downtown. I don't think we're thinking about expanding it beyond that.
Again, just curious, that's got sidewalks in there, and just almost feeling like that corridor.
Sure.
Only a block, I guess, would be missed. Again, just kind of came to mind when I was thinking about that.
Yeah. Well, I will mention that one of the other things on the front is a crossing from the Greenway to Talley Street. And we've been in conversations with DOT about that, and are starting to get quotes from contractors to do that little stub out, and then DOT will provide that pedestrian signal. So yeah, certainly.
And that was part of my thinking too, since we're already looking for that crosswalk, to just include that all the way too.
Yeah.
So,
just wanted to quickly touch on the fact that, in the new budget, we added 5 positions. We started, advertising for those positions and accepting applications, and actually have some interviews, I think tomorrow and Wednesday. The 3 that are listed in that memo are still posted on the website, so we're still accepting applications, but I know, Terrence is starting to go through those, and, I don't think we've scheduled anything yet, but, working on a few, still recruiting for some, but trying to move that forward to get those folks in here and get those positions going and get some of the current staff some of the help they need, so. Again, just wanted to bring that to your attention that we're moving forward on it and, working through the steps there.
Any questions on those positions?
Just to clarify, I'm sorry. Just to clarify, you said that you started interviews, but you still have it on the website, so you're gonna accept interviews until you hire?
Yes, ma'am, we're still accepting applications for these 3 positions. We started interviews for the accounting tech.
Tech, county.
Oh, okay,
And,
okay.
what's the other one?
Public Works Operations
Oh,
Manager.
yeah, public works effort.
Oh, those 2, okay,
So we
okay,
started
I
interviewing for
understand.
those 2, and then, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next item, Keystone.
Yes, sir. So no memo for this one, just wanted to talk through some of the things that have been going on. So everything's still on track. The original agreement had a closing date of July 26th. We're still, we haven't changed that, but we still are waiting for some of the environmental testing to come back. And I know the company Vinci's been still looking at some quotes for different work that they need to have done over there. So that may push the timeline back a little bit, but I would still say late July, early August is when we're gonna plan to close on that. Thanks to Public Works for helping out with some of the tank removal last week and some concrete removal. Took some big tanks to Gordon's and got $700 savings.
Okay.
So save, pinch those pennies. But no, they worked hard on that over there to save us from having to contract some of that stuff out. And then, like I said, they sent off some dirt or some concrete for testing, and should have that back in another week or so. It's about a 2-week turnaround. So just things are on track, still moving forward. Just wanted to update you.
Okay, I saw that in Austin, that's,
Mm.
that's good call. How far down did we dig, or did we go with that concrete?
They actually didn't have to dig down in the dirt very far. We thought we were gonna have to take a couple loads of dirt to a landfill way off in Cleveland County. But the concrete ended up being 14 inches thick. So I think that was deep enough for them to just take a sample right there.
Okay.
Took a little longer to break up than they were expecting though.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any questions on Keystone? Next item is Town Hall addition.
Yes, sir. So, was hoping to have something to you all, earlier today, but we're still waiting on one more piece, so I'll send that out as soon as I get it. But the architect has been working on, the overall rendering of the town hall addition and then the floor plan. So I've got about 2/3 of the floor plan. He's been sending it, I think, as he's getting it done. And so I'll put all that together when I've got all of it and send it to you all so we can, look at it, and then we'll meet with the, property committee and review that as well in a little more detail. But it is moving along. He's, like I said, he sent the plan for, remodeling some of this building, plan for the first floor on the main level on the addition, and then the, council room addition as well. So, hope to have those, the full set of floor plans, finished soon, and then probably put that out for bid next month.
Any questions on Town Hall? All right, that takes us to the next item, the overview of Thursday's meeting.
Thanks, sir. So first, item number 4, we have the Reverend Ivan Cowan from And that idea and the Pledge of Allegiance idea was Emily's. So the Pledge of Allegiance idea would be to have group of students, Boy Scout troop, a student, student of the month maybe or something in school to come in and just lead the Pledge of Allegiance, just to tie them in a little bit more. So if you know the pastor, if you know of a student or a group like that that might want to come and do that, let us know and we'll work to coordinate it. But good idea.
Good idea.
Under consent agenda, we have a few sets of minutes. 7F is approval of an MOU that CRTPO is asked for. It really just changes the name of the actual organization. You want to talk through that?
Basically, so back at the November election, Mecklenburg County voted on a referendum to allow a 1%, I believe it was a 1 cent sales tax to go towards transit. And in doing that, I think they wanted to be more inclusive of their transit representation body within the county. And so they're basically just replacing what they call the Metropolitan Transit Commission, or the MTC, with this new Metropolitan Public Transit Authority, as I believe the organization's going to have more authority now since they're all going to have funding. But ultimately, it doesn't really affect us, and it's just a name change, and they still only have one vote in the weighted vote system, so it's not really changing much, just the name and the authority of that group.
Any questions on that? So once the MOU is signed by all the municipalities, will they have to go back to CRTPO for signature or approval?
No. The CRTPO board actually voted in June to approve this change to the MOU. This is just the attorney that represents the CRTPO board asking that all the municipalities sign off on it just to make it legal.
Like, thank Andrew, because the time I got back to him, said, well, I got the letter that had it on the agenda. He only had on, he was already there.
Sounds good.
All right. Item G is approval of a resolution. It says accepting appropriations from DEQ. It's really sort of reappropriating some funding. So we had received funding for a couple of water projects, and previously we talked about reallocating that money to go towards our wastewater phase 1 project. And so we submitted to DEQ for that approval. They came back and said you can do that, and so this is the resolution just formalizing the fact that we want to reallocate that money to pay for that phase 1 transmission project. And then item H is the corresponding budget amendment to amend that project budget ordinance to make that change.
Any questions on those two?
So which was the total amount for the wastewater?
So the total funding amount for wastewater is the 8.8.
8.8.
Why were you asking if one said 7?
We had 7 in there, I saw the 7, and it's the same place, and it was 13 was the total number, was the other thing, what did we actually get?
Yeah, so it says the full amount of the funding is 8.8, but then the construction costs are 7.8.
So when we first brought this project before you, the capital ordinance, it was $1.9 million for Kimley Warren to do the engineering. And in that capital ordinance, we put $900,000 for water sewer fund and $1 million of the state grant, making the assumption we were going to get this. So although the letter you're accepting is 8.5 million, 8.7 million, we had already committed $1 million to engineering. So that's why we had to add the remaining $7 million in there for construction costs. That's why it's a bit different from what we're actually accepting from the state.
Yeah, I saw it from the same people I went to there, but
Yeah.
it's still not enough.
No, it is not. It's still not enough.
So for that first number, I thought, that'd be closer to 13, but it's not it.
project lead on the water and wastewater projects for us, will be here to give a brief update. The bid documents for the Phase 1 transmission line project went out on Thursday. So it's out there for bid, and you all are gonna be seeing, a contract in the next couple of months. So I wanted her to come and give an update to the group, since the wastewater committee's been very involved in everything. I know y'all kind of heard bits and pieces, but just wanted her to come and kind of say what we're doing now, and what our next steps are gonna be, just to keep everybody up to speed. Questions on that? She promised only 1 or 2 slides, so that's more than that, cut her off there.
We got a light meeting, so I'll let her go on for another minute or two.
Thank you. So the next section will be quarterly reports. We'll hear from Evan Coleman at the ABC store. And then the next section is public comments. So this is the first meeting since the change you all voted on a couple months ago to move public comments up. So I put the policy in the packets for the amendment. Yeah, it should be in the back.
It should be in the back in the folder.
So you should have a copy of that policy with those changes that were made in there, just for your reference. But you'll notice that a few items sooner on the agenda. All right, so the next section would be old business. So this is consider approval of the updated personnel policy. This is the one we presented last month. The MAPS group has been helping us with that through funded through a grant that Mr. Smyer got to lead municipalities. I think there was one change that we noticed from last month, and it's basically a stipulation that says an employee has to have worked here for 6 months before they can apply for another job within the town. And the thought was that we want someone to get in and get established and not hop around to too many jobs before they actually learn too much about the town. But I think that's on page 22 if my memory's right. But anyway, everything else has stayed the same. So if y'all have any questions, I know we wanted to introduce it last month and give you time to review it. Happy to answer any questions now or talk about it between now and Thursday.
Any questions on the personnel policy?
And then new business, we'll have consider approval of street closure for Falls Cove at Lake Norman for a Halloween event. So the president of the HOA, Claire Stalvey, will be here. But Chief, do you want to give some background on maybe this event, how we handle events, requests like this?
There's been, in the past, I know, Fairing Seasons has requested, street closures before, and, all they asked for was for some cones from the town that says, and those street closures were granted, didn't have a block party. There's been, I'm sure some others before I came here. Ms. Stalvey, filled out the special events application form, which is used for special events, but also to request road closures. We reviewed it, I've spoken with her. What they're wanting to do is they're wanting to close Falls Cove Drive that comes off of Autumn Leaf from Tacklebox Drive down to Walleye. They're going, if this street closure is approved, the reason I want to do this for a Halloween trick-or-treating event taking place that day is, if it's approved, they're going to request and hire 2 off-duty officers to conduct the traffic control there. So those officers will be actually directing the traffic around, routing people around Rooster Tail down to Walleye, where the traffic would then come out.
I'm assuming this is their first time doing this?
This is their first time doing it. Before it comes to you all, it's, approved, by staff, which for us, this time, the event only came to the police department to review. If I has any questions.
Chief, there wouldn't be any conflict with getting 2 officers to do this with our trails and treats going on, right?
No, the Trails and Trees doesn't take,
Well, police
officers,
presence,
yeah.
right?
And they bear the cost of,
Yes,
they bear the rate of the off-duty officer.
Yeah, they would pay the off-air, off-duty rate directly to the officers. The officers would be working as contractors for them.
down the full stretch of street, they're not doing one lane, they're just routing
The whole street.
cars around the block, okay?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? So just, I know this is have we used the application before, or this first time?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Have we used this application before?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is one we've used for years.
Yeah, okay.
There's just a portion of it that's just for road closures.
Okay.
And so it just goes straight to the police department if that's what they want.
All right, so, and I'm assuming the other, again, that's the point, it's strictly for road.
Yep, and then it explains in there, they have to come and seek approval from council. So it lays all the procedure out for them, and that's where they request exactly which roads and for the time and date and all that, and so then that goes to the police department.
John, that was from Tackle Box too.
It would be tackle box to walleye. Walleye,
Walleye?
yeah,
How do you spell it?
WALLEYE.
Okay.
Like a fish.
All right, I didn't know if it was some crazy spelling. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
All right. We have another request for Thursday night. We'll back to our agenda. Next item is for us to have a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-382-11A. In the self-declared attorney. Is there a motion to come to closed session? Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.